Welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC.
And Ted T. Esperides.
And the source.
Section finals are behind us, and we are looking ahead to the state tournament. Um, Been a wild ride, lot to talk about. Excited to get into it. But before we do, we're gonna have a guest on in probably momentarily. Excited to have Old Southern BBQ, the big man, make his podcast debut. Has never been on a podcast, according to sources. So excited to have the big man on in a little bit. So obviously, this podcast is going to be brought to you by Old Southern BBQ, just like it's been all season. But as we wait for the big man and before we talk lacrosse, Source, Ted, how are you guys doing? Source, you look like the neighborhood was getting into something today, last day of school.
Last day of school, neighborhood party, uh, cowboy theme. We had a mechanical bull. We had a smoker. We had two griddles going. We had a lot of action, a lot of music, a lot of good times. It's still going on, although there's a storm coming, I hear. So, yeah, it was a good time.
So obviously, this must be a neighborhood tradition.
Yeah,
This isn't a new thing. You guys look dialed in.
this is not a new thing. Neighborhood tradition. Last day of school, we always have a big blowout party. It's started out for the kids. Kids have gotten older. Now it's turned in for the adults just as much as the kids. So
Is there like a board that puts this together? Like this looked organized. This looked well put together.
there is a neighborhood mom board and there is a neighborhood dad board. So the dads take care of dad business, the moms take care of mom business. It's great.
Gotta love it. And joining us tonight, as I mentioned, a little bit ago, the big man from Old Southern Barbecue himself, James Anderson. Mr. Anderson, welcome to Down the Alley.
It's great to be here, guys. I appreciate being on. I mean, like you've said, basically every episode since we started, it's been a pleasure riding with DTA and supporting Minnesota lacrosse. So it's cool to be on the pod. Thanks for having me.
It feels like you've been on the pod, just with all the recaps, with all the emails, updates. If it's lacrosse, if it's barbecue, whatever every week could be a little bit different, but it feels like you've just been a part of the pod. So
Oh, I feel it. I mean, I've only met I haven't met the source yet. I look forward to it, but met Katie one time, Ted a couple times, you, but I feel like I know you since back in the day, even before Old Southern BBQ was a sponsor. Just like the olden days, sitting around the radio, listening to Ted and Katie and PMAC talk about Minnesota lacrosse. Awesome. Look forward to it every week.
for
Yeah,
sure.
thank you. And it's funny, I was kind of thinking about this we reference you, the big man, because at all these episodes, and like in my mind, I'm like, I know who that is. I have a picture, but a lot of the listeners probably have no idea. So this is actually perfect timing to get to hear your voice, see your face, kind of hear what you're all about, and kind of put all the pieces together as we look forward to now the state tournament. It comes by, the season goes by quick, and the state tournament comes quickly. So this is perfect timing. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Best time of the year. Seriously. It's just like great. Sections into state. Fantastic.
Podcast debut. So it sounds
Yes.
like you've never been on a podcast. So excited that ours is the first one. And yeah, Ted, good point. People have obviously heard you referenced as the big man. How about you introduce yourself to DTA Nation for those who might not know who the big man is?
Heard. Well, my name is James Anderson. My wife and I, Colleen, we own Old Southern BBQ. We've got 5 locations in the metro. Hudson for you Woodbury, Stillwater, and Hudson folks. Hudson is kind of an adopted program for us. We have Shakopee, Prior Lake, neck of the woods, off 169, and we have Excelsior for Minnetonka. We've had Minnetonka lacrosse guys in already, and we, of course, the food truck went out there. We have got Minneapolis, 44th in France, serving Edina, Benilde. It's been an honor to do many grad parties for Benilde people, their homecoming celebrations. It's been really cool to see the different people, despite the rivalry between Edina and BSM. Those of you who don't know, my son played for Edina, and then we have what am I forgetting? I'm forgetting. Arden Hills, 694 in Lexington, up in the Irondale Moundsview territory. So yeah, we're happy to help in all those communities because we love youth sports. Youth sports is part of the community fabric of it, and we are proud to be just feeding youth, feeding parents. And I love lacrosse. I mean, it wasn't around when I was young, and I would definitely have been a long pole and getting that ground ball, sprinting down, and you coaches yelling, "Yellow, stop!" That's the kind of player I'd be. But I'm super happy that both my sons played. My younger son doesn't play anymore, but I love the sport. I love watching all the boys play, and it's fantastic. And I'm happy to once again, as I told you at the very beginning, sponsoring what I feel is a great way to just get the word out about youth lacrosse, high school lacrosse, and celebrate the awesome athletes that we have in the state. And PMAC, you always bring up, getting in the basement. I don't know if you guys were in the basement, but I got in at the lower floors here in terms of sponsoring, and I'm happy about it. So we love the relationship, and we love Minnesota lacrosse.
You mentioned the 5 locations, but I think the most exciting thing, from Old Southern BBQ this year is the food truck.
Yes.
You guys have made it out to a game. What's that experience been like? Any curveballs that you guys have experienced? And how's the barbecue getting pumped out of the food truck now?
Well, everything gets smoked the day of. So it's smoked in one of our restaurants. Food trucks come in, pick it up, and we head out. The great thing about barbecue is it's even if it's sitting in the sham in the warmer for a while, it's just getting better.
It rests well. Let it rest.
Let it rest. Exactly. You can't be rushing it. Anybody who says, "Oh, I just got it out of the smoker," oh, it's not ready yet. You gotta let it rest, and it rests in the sham and on the food trucks, and we go around to different pubs, but also we get hired for grad party season. It's on. And we get hired for that a lot. So food trucks, are there any wild stories? Not yet. Knock on some sort of wood here. I've heard lots of wild stories. We haven't had one yet. So
you haven't been in the Sources neighborhood then yet. So, you do a lot of different events, grad parties, and you've done some of our coaching events, obviously different game days, but is your Super Bowl Father's Day?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, the ramp up is happening right now. We ramp up all the way to Father's Day, and that weekend is absolutely nuts with Father's Day, the day. There's very little catering actually that happens on Father's Day. It's all just people coming in and picking up, and it is rocking. We have a extra smoker that we bring down because the volume is massive, and we love it. And that's not to scare anybody away. Come in, we're ready. We're ready with ribs. We're ready with wings. We're ready with brisket. It's Sunday, so burnt ends. The Source. I told the Source they're back. It's just not a barbecue month. It went very well, and every weekend from here on out is burnt end weekend. So we're ready. We're the stress level. We're in restaurants, everybody, and you probably kind of got it in lacrosse as coaches too. You got to be the swan, where on the surface that swan looks like it's just everything's calm, it's nice, it's going, but underneath the water, it's just like going crazy. So that's how we are right now, but it's good. If we're not busy, we're not in business.
Yeah, that was going to be my last thing that I had to tee up with, the burnt ends, another new thing. for you guys, I believe in 2026 that you have test driven. We did a little, off air board meeting at the Shakopee location after a little round of golf. And I did we order 3 orders of burnt ends?
We each had our own order. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was none left.
Yeah, they're
So
really good.
yeah, they're really good. What's the key? If people don't know, haven't had burn ends maybe in Minnesota, what's the key? What is a burn end for those who don't know,
Sure.
and what's the key? What's the secret sauce?
So you got your normal. Go to any barbecue place. You order brisket. It's sliced up. It's really nice. We actually do a different process for the burnt ends to get a nice crust on our brisket. So it's called the boat method. So it's actually sitting open in the smoker, getting the crust. And what you do is you take the point and you chop it up after, once again, a great long smoke. You chop it up, and then you drizzle it with our Oklahoma glaze. Burnt ends are known as Texas candy, but we're Oklahoma barbecue, so we're horns down. So we do things Oklahoma style, and so then you put it back in the smoker with the glaze on, and then the sugar crystallizes and creates a really nice, just becomes one with the meat, and it's awesome, and it's sweet, and there's a little kick to it with the Oklahoma glaze, and it's like candy. You get the right. It's all meat's always different, but you get that nice. It's like butter. It's just amazing. And credit to our teams. I go in, I have them. It's just an amazing product. And I know it's mine, but if I went to anybody else's and had that, it's just great. Our pit masters are just doing it the right way, and it's awesome. So good.
Yeah, no, I can retweet that. It was incredible. I think Ted and Source would say the same thing. While we have you, Edina, boys
Yeah.
lacrosse, section 6, it's never goes according to plan. It's always chaotic. There's a lot of depth. It's the section of death. Edina coming out on top. You're one of the Edina sources. I don't know how else I can tee up. What is going on? And they won the girls. So what the heck is going
something?
What's going on in Edina? I have nothing else to add. What the heck is going on in Edina?
Well, I just want to give credit to the coaching staff, and then of course the young men on defense. Last year with Cooper Anderson, Drew Stocco, Eli Bussey, and Lincoln Gentry. These are all time guys in Edina, and offensive wise, and yet Dylan DeBook, Bo Simonson, Luke Seaman. The defense is ferocious. Wyatt Spindler in goal, just absolutely ferocious. And that's they've stopped turning the ball over and are really playing well. So I'm really happy for those boys because it's their time. The spotlight's on them, and they're showing up big time. So in the Rosemont game, it was Jack Lenmark from Rosemont. He's one of the best big dog. I always say big dogs bark in big games. Out of all the top 20 lax numbers, he had the most points out of anybody. And Bo Simonson just locked him up. I think he still had 2 goals. But their defense was just absolutely ferocious. And then the Jefferson game, just a great game of the rivalry. Ted knows. I'm glad they were able to play again. And I want to give the OSB Defensive Player of the Year shout out potentially next year. Number 14, I believe his last name's Lou. Oh my gosh, he locked up Luke Seaman really well. Just great defense. So if you like defense, the Bloomington Jefferson Edina game was just full of defense. Yet the boys pulled it off. Some great play, and I want to shout out Seth Moen, who I coached way back in the day. He's had to step up because a lot of focus on, rightfully so, on Luke Seaman, who's a great player going to Tufts and deserves it. Big time rocket of a shot, and a lot of focus on him. So some of the younger guys who did not get a lot of time, experience playing behind Edina's big boys the last several years are getting better. So I got give credit to those boys, and of course the coaching staff for putting in the time, putting in the work, and making it happen. And seriously, the section of death. I mean, holy cow! It's just. Are you kidding me? How do you get through this section?
I don't know. I
So,
haven't gotten through it in a while. Uh,
yeah.
Ted, source. What have I missed for the big man here?
Well, I mean, I think we have to say it that Edina, maybe unfortunately for all of us, not you, big man, is a lacrosse town. So shout out to the boys, shout out to the gals.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later, but yeah, hats off. And it's good to see that maybe you pay a little bit of attention to lacrosse. Seems like you maybe are a little passionate about the game and you're following it. So that's awesome to hear. We're not the only crazies out there watching lacrosse and
No, and
caring about it.
that's what it's about. Source is that's why we're doing this is because there are on the ladies' side. I'm proud to be able to present those defensive players in of the year awards and hear about it. And I was the ladies. I mean I was paying attention to PMAX texts or tweets, and I'm like, what's going on there? This is great. I can't be in two places at once. This is pretty cool. So
We were
yeah,
also saying what's going on when when you were
right.
That game was that. We'll get to that game.
we'll
That
get to
game
that
was
later.
madness. Oh man.
um, but I appreciate the opportunity, and I look for more to look for future years. And I just think what you three are doing, and Katie is just absolutely phenomenal. I have had the opportunity to be in different parts of the country, following my son around, and any place that cares about lacrosse has something like this. So for you gentlemen to take up the torch and celebrate boys and girls lacrosse in this state is fantastic, and it's a stepping stone to just being more competitive and getting our athletes to go play in college someplace. It's awesome. So credit to you guys and to celebrate the boys and girls. I mean, there's been some great watching Gus Bell, the Twins, Carson Brandt in the past. Older Graf, younger Graf, the Mickett, the Prior Lake coaching staff, and what you guys do. I'm Farmington now with just the Stillwater machine that happens over there. It's fun. It's fun. So I just have appreciate the opportunity to come on, and I look forward to listening to the episode tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be up at 5 a.m. Just like always, just like usual. Yeah, no, thank you, big man, for coming down the alley. Introducing yourself to DTA Nation as you've been, a part of this for a few years now. Appreciate everything you do, and and all the good food that you guys are pumping out, and we didn't even talk about all the rubs and sauces
Oh yeah,
and things as
Father's Day.
well. Yep. If you're
Get your our Dixie Red just won second place for the Barbecue News magazine for best beef sauce. So we do it right. All the sauces, seasonings, fantastic. Get players out there. If you're listening, you're getting your DTA on, getting ready for state here. Get your dad some sauces and seasonings. You can go online or go into one of the stores. But I appreciate the opportunity, guys. And yeah, Father's Day is coming up. Do it right.
Love it. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, you
Good
too.
night.
And thank you to the big man, James Anderson from Old Southern BBQ, for coming down the alley and, yeah, sharing his story, right? And, giving a little background on Old Southern BBQ. And he's been riding with us for, this is third, fourth season now?
Oh, yeah, I think third. Yeah, third, I think.
Third year. So, yeah, no, we appreciate his support, and he's always throwing ideas at us, and we're throwing ideas back at him, about different things. We talked a little bit about the awards, and I'm sure half of our ideas we throw his way, or he's probably like, these guys are idiots or crazy, but we appreciate him, listening to some of our ideas, and and supporting the overall Minnesota lacrosse community.
Yeah, and that actually I think is a good segue into the awards. I know that we kind of touched on it last episode, which it's been over a week because we recorded early to get in
Yeah.
front of the section, so it feels like it's been a while since we've been on the mics, but I guess in our timeline it has been. Um, as far as the awards go for Old Southern Barbecue Defensive Player of the Year, um, Old Southern Barbecue sponsors it. James does not have any vote in the final. They don't pick the award; they just present it. And so how we're doing it this year is we've opened up the voting well, I guess the nominations, I should say, to DTA Nation. So if you go to downthealleypod.com, there's a little menu item that says DTA Awards. There's three options there. You can nominate a boys defensive player of the year, which is for any long stick, girls defensive player of the year. And then we have a new award this year called the Haas of the Year, kind of a little bit of tongue in cheek, but that goes to the best short stick defensive midfielder on the boys' side. Um, I think we've talked about short stick D midfield not necessarily having their like a spot in all state or all section. They kind of get forgotten about, but obviously a very important role on a boys lacrosse team. So I'm happy that that kind of just through some banter in the Discord ended up becoming an award that we can present. So, you can nominate anybody you want. So coaches, fans, parents, players themselves, if you want to go and nominate yourself or your teammate, go for it. And then we'll figure out, who has the most nominations to come up with our finalists, and then we'll have a voting process from there. But I think this way, at least some of the areas that maybe we don't see a lot of coaches, especially if they have a guy that or gal that it is locked down for their team, but maybe we don't see them, in our neck of the woods or on the big stage, they can still have a chance to nominate them and we can do a little research on them. So go to the website, downthealleypod.com/ I think it's DTA awards, but there's a menu item that goes right to it. Very simple page. Click to the Google form. I think you got to have name, grad year, school, and then there is an optional spot to put like accolades of the player so that we can maybe do a little research on them if applicable. But that's kind of where we're at with it. And then we'll
Yeah. How
maybe
long is that going to be open for?
that'll be open through at least that'll be open through the end of the state tournament. So for
Okay.
the next week. And then, source, I guess that kind of tees up you now for maybe an announcement around the girls defensive player of the year award. If you want to kind of talk about the process on how we present that.
Yeah. So the girls coaches reached out to us, DTA, and there's a girls all state game that happens every year, the Tuesday after the state tournament. It's usually at Benilde. It's at Benilde again this year, and they reached out and said, "Hey, would Down the Alley like to come and hang out and either do a little public address, do a little play-by-play, do a little interview, do a little whatever." And we said, "Sure." So Ted and I are going to do that. I think PMAC, you're out of town. But then we said, "Well, hey, we got this DTA Defensive Player of the Year award bet. Can we announce it and present it there?" And everyone is on board. The big man's on board. We're on board. The coaches are on board. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna present the DTA Girls Defensive Player of the Year award at the All State game Tuesday, June 16th at 6 p.m. at Benilde St. Margaret's. So be there, come out. It's gonna be all the All State players, first team, second team, honorable mention. They split them up into teams. They play a full game. It gets a little silly, see a lot of lacrosse, see some crazy good lacrosse, and have a good time. And hopefully it's not raining and it's nice weather, and come out and watch one more blast of lacrosse before everyone heads to Baltimore.
Yeah, and then on the boys' side, as far as announcing the winner, we're going to go the traditional route, which we will also do for the girls, but without this live presentation step. We will present on and announce on social media. We'll contact the winner. But kind of how we did it all last year for the boys side. It sounds like the boys are not doing an all-state game, so we won't do anything kind of formal. So it'll just be more social media based. But yeah, get your nominations in, shout it out. I know I've heard from a few coaches and people kind of, hey, put this player in the hat for defensive player of the year, check them out. And so it's been nice to get a couple shout outs from some players. And I know PMAC and myself, players we've seen with our own eyes on against teams we've played or on our own teams or whatever. So it's I think it's a cool award, and where I think maybe Mr. Lacrosse and like the Star Tribune Player of the Year might skew a little more offensive in years past. This is a defensive specific award, which is kind of cool to kind of give them something special as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I obviously I love getting from the defensive perspective, some awards out there, and it's just like barbecue, right? You got to lay one and leave it, right? Lay the brisket, leave the brisket. So I think it's on brand with Old Southern Barbecue. It's on brand with the style of defense that I like to coach. So you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
That I think wraps up all the housekeeping items. I think we can talk lacrosse now. So if you need a bathroom break, this is the time to do it. But the section tournament is over. The field for the state tournament is set. I think we knew the girls' side would have craziness because it was crazy all year. The boys' side was kind of chalky most of the season, and then things got kind of weird towards the end here. A lot to talk about. Start with the boys, start with the girls. What do we want to do?
Let's start with the boys because there's a lot of stuff fresh on the girls that, in me and Source's mind. So I feel like that's going to be ready to go. So let's go boys first and get through it. Maybe that's just me wanting to get through that part of it I don't know. I don't know.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, we can just kind of rip through each section.
We don't know seedings yet, right?
We don't know state seedings. I have not seen anything.
We'll put our guesses as we go through this. We'll also guess because we love guessing and we love making ourselves look dumb. So
we're good at that.
Let's add, and that's another post you can say, you can make for us. Give Ted more homework to do because he loves that. While trying to get ready for a state tournament. Should we start at the top, section 1, Ted?
Section 1, yep.
Section 1, it's Farmington's section, it's Ted's section. It went chalky for the most part, except for the big one that sticks out to me is the Northfield Lakeville South game. I think this is one we shouted out in the preview where I felt like this was going to be, I know it's a 3 and it's a 6, but that game felt like it was going to be close. I didn't have a good pulse on it. And it was close, and the 6 ended up coming out on top in that one. I didn't watch film that wasn't on my section, my side of the bracket, wasn't on your side of the bracket either. Do you have eyes? Do you have any notes? I don't have anything, I don't have any crazy notes on this one, but a 1-goal game, barn burner. I think it was a little bit back and forth according to what I heard.
Yeah, I didn't watch too deeply. I saw some clips. I don't really know. I guess in my mind, I think I would have expected Northfield to win this game. But shout out to Lakeville South. We did talk about them a little bit on the previous kind of the preview episode for section tournaments. That they when they put it together and they played the right way. They've been able to hang with some teams and they're dangerous and they certainly prove that. We also technically had an upset in the 4-5. Mankato beat New Prague 8-6. So shout out to them. And then Southwest Christian won the play-in game. Technically not an upset. They were the 8 over Lakeville North, who was the 9. But I think that's the first time they've ever won a playoff game. If I didn't do the deep dive, so Southwest Christian listeners, if I'm wrong on that, I apologize. But I think That was a big step for their program, winning that game, and getting a playoff win under their belt. Again, if I misspoke on that, I'm sorry, but I think, yeah, it went pretty chalky. You know, I'll just speak on our team a little bit. I think, we had a heartbreaker last year in the section final, and I think that has kind of been the not really the theme of the season, but really on everybody's mind all year of like we want to get back to that section final game and kind of rewrite the story and win it and have a chance to compete for state tournament. I think last year, at least myself, and I think a lot of our guys and coaches felt like our team last year could have competed, maybe not won it, but we could have had a chance and we didn't get that opportunity. So to be able to go in and kind of leave no doubt and go into the tournament this year, that was a huge step for this group. So I want to just shout my guys out, my staff, everybody involved, parents, for getting back up after a tough loss and getting the job done. And we have a lot of work to do still, but that was a short mountain we had to get over before we get to the top of the big mountain.
Are we doing predictions on seeds at the end of each section or at the end?
Let's do it at the end of the, yeah.
Okay, the end of the deal. Section 2, another section that was pretty chalky. One game, one kind of program to call out would be Holy Family. I think this is maybe their best season, at least record-wise, I believe, ever. Winning, upsetting Orono as the 5th seed in a 3-1 game. I thought it was a hockey score. It is not. It is confirmed a lacrosse score. So congrats to them making a semifinal. But Tonka was a little too much to handle, in section 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty chalky. Nothing that really surprised me. The only thing that maybe caught my eye a little bit was Chanhassen holding Minnetonka to 7 goals. I feel like that's a pretty strong defensive performance for a younger team in Chanhassen. So, maybe they're a team to look out for. We've talked about they have a little bit younger group. So maybe that's like a good positive step in the right direction for them. But Minnetonka, one of the top teams all year, a team we've been talking about, gets the job done. They're back at state again, and good for them. And I think rightfully so. They were one of the top teams all year.
Now section 3, and when you take a first glance at it, you're like, oh, it's 1 through 4. It's 1 and 2, and the first seed wins. But Ted, this championship game, if there's a game all season that was off the rails, or a fourth quarter, or a last 3 minutes, or a last minute of a game completely off the rails, it'd be this one. Ted, break this one down. I think I was getting text messages from every corner of the Minnesota lacrosse world, and some videos, some breakdown. This one got the people going last night.
Yeah, we haven't had a ton of games like this year on the boys' side, a handful, but not a ton. This one was, if you didn't have a horse in the race and you were just watching lacrosse, this was everything you could have asked for. Like there was ups and downs and drama and craziness, and it was all you could ask for. Before we talk about Eastridge, I do want to shout out St. Thomas Academy. Last episode, I kind of said, we know they're good. They're undefeated. How good are they? They're good. They're very good. They earned that respect in my book. I finally got to sort of watch them play against Eastridge, who's a top 5 team all year. I don't want to take away from Eastridge winning that game, but St. Thomas Academy, that's one of those that you look at and go, they like all the stats are probably pointing to STA should have won that game. And it was a couple bounces, a couple calls and a couple momentum swings. and kind of at the end of the day, a couple All-Americans on East Ridge that just had something to say about it. But I was thoroughly impressed with the game plan. I thought their coaches did a fantastic job. I thought the players executed and played with, like, you could just tell those, you'd have to just peel those kids off the turf. So huge respect to them. Shout out Isaiah, Coach Isaiah, who's over there, used to coach at Farmington with me. So he did a great job amongst the other coaches there at on the staff. And shout out to their players. I know they lose a couple kids that were seniors this year that are pretty good players. But if they have some depth that are coming back, I think they're primed to be a state tournament team in the near future.
Yeah, not to look too far ahead because this is kind of East Ridge's year from what I'm hearing. Senior heavy. So if STA can, if they've got another wave,
Yeah.
yeah, they could be a team in 2027. We're not there. We're not doing 2027 previews yet. Give us some time.
Yeah.
Let's get through this season first.
So with that being said, Eastridge, they say championship teams can win games even when they don't have their best day or when their backs are against the wall. And Eastridge proved that to me as well as there was a lot of moments, even I only saw like the second half. There was 5 or 6 moments where I felt like, all right, Eastridge is done. They're going to lose this game. That like as soon as they got something, STA punched them back, and I'm like, they're gonna fold now. They're gonna fold now, and they didn't. And they found a way. I don't even know how they did. I honestly can't even really recount what had happened in the last minute of the game. There was more action than some high school lacrosse games have in 48 minutes. Um, they got it to overtime, and then they got their ball to one of their goal scorers, and that's how OT is. Unfortunately, it's one shot, and if you hit it, it's over. And so shout out to the Raptors. They've been a top team all year, and they found a way. That's what great teams do, and I think, I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the state tournament.
Section 4. The ponies section, once again, a pretty chalky section. One kind of matchup that I want to call out again, the 5 seed coming on top over the 4 seed, Centennial and Irondale. I feel like these two teams were just kind of back and forth, throughout the year and, kind of, trying to make some noise. They end up falling short to a great Stillwater team. And that leads up to the final. My sources and kind of recaps that I looked into sounded like this one was back and forth. White Bear Lake just wouldn't give up. They'd march back, and then Stillwater would take a lead again, and White Bear would came back and stuck in there. But the ponies, just a little too much firepower, a little too much goaltending, a little too much defense. They just had a little too much for White Bear Lake this year.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate recount. I didn't see the whole game, but it was 5-5 at halftime. So White Bear gave them, kind of everything that they had. And I think you're right. I think the depth of Stillwater and just kind of the experience maybe played out. But, the ponies are as advertised. I think their defense is better than they get credit for. We know about their goalie, but I think their polls are really good as well. I think again another team that was in the state championship game last year, looking to see what they can do at the state tournament once again.
Section 5 for the first time, and I don't know how long it's not Benilde St. Margaret's section. We picked Wayzata last year. Some of us picked Maple Grove this year. A chalky section and chalky really until the end. Wayzata, the Trojans, we may have been a year early on the Trojans and the people were pumping them. They were a year early, 2026. They get the job done and they punch their first ticket since 2019.
Yeah, 19 or 21, I feel like. It's been a few years for sure. Shout out to the Trojans. That was a hurdle when they moved from Section 8 to Section 5. Benilde was in there their dynasty mode, and it's just been one of those, one of those games that has been like kind of, I don't know if you could probably break down the rosters over the years, and maybe Wayzata had a better team on paper some years, but just couldn't get through that game, and they found a way to do it. Close game though, 10-7. Sounds like it was a pretty physical battle. Um, and yeah, I think last time it was not BSM from Section 5 was 2016. So it's been 10 years since they have not been at the state tournament. Um, but I don't think that's any shade to BSM. They had that, we had talked about it, they had that loss early in the year, but they were playing really good lacrosse up and, all the way through kind of mid-May till now. And Wayzata just finally found a way to slow them down and get the win. And I think that Wayzata defense, we've been talking about it a lot this year. I think they're going to be on display at the tournament as well, and people are going to really see how good they are.
On to Section 6, the section of death. We've had 5 pretty chalky sections, and we've got anything but chalk in Section 6. We could start in a lot of different places. Ted, where do you want to start on this one?
Um, let's start on the left side of the bracket. I think Rosemount took care of business to get to the semis. But the 4-5 game,
Yep.
Edina Eden Prairie overtime. Edina Eden Prairie played earlier in the year in a close, kind of low scoring game. Edina they had a 6-0 lead
At half.
at halftime, and needed overtime to beat the Eagles
7-6.
7-6. So, whatever coaching adjustments the Eden Prairie coaches made at halftime, good for them. That clearly was the right decision. Game could have gone either way. The Hornets prevail. Again, a shout out to Eden Prairie for all signs pointing to folding the tent at halftime, and they decided to battle back. I didn't see this game, so I can't really comment on how it happened, what happened, but Edina with kind of a feels like, all right, that was one of our barn burners. Hopefully we can have an easy one come up. No, that we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's see here. The rest of the quarters were pretty chalky. So then we go to semifinal number 1,
which is Rosemount Edina at noon.
At noon, a big nooner kickoff. This game, again, I didn't get to see it live. I kind of watched through the streams. It was back and forth.
I thought so. Going back, so kind of comparing this game to Eastridge STA in the final. Even if you fast forward to the final 5 minutes, I thought both teams lost this game 5 times. I'm like, oh, Rosemount's done, and then it'd be like, oh no, Edina just shot themselves. This is they just it's nope. Rosemount's going to win this one, and then Rosemount would do something, or they get a flag. They like doing that, so they'd get a flag, and then Edina would get a man up or something, and then at the end of the day, Edina, the big man talked about number 21, Luke Seaman, put the team on his back at the end in the biggest moment. And got the game winner. This one was kind of off the rails as well. I don't know if it was as off the rails as Eastridge STA, but this one was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was. I think the Edina scoring 9 was kind of an offensive outburst for them, and I think 6 of those were Luke Seaman scoring. So, like you said, put the team on his back, kind of proved like, hey, I'm an All-American for a reason. I got voted first team All-State for a reason. What a talent, and kind of the first big upset of the year, I feel like. I mean, they are the defending state champions, so. Okay, they might not be the same team as last year, but until you
take them down, until you slay the dragon,
they're still the state champions until proven otherwise. So, Yeah, I mean, hell of a win for them. I think that one kind of um, shocked a lot of people. And yeah, shout out to them. And I admittedly did not see the Jefferson Prior Lake game, so if you want to talk about it, you can. Another close game though, 7-6. A lot of tight games in this section.
Yeah, I don't know from the people's point of view, the viewers, the public, um, the sources. I don't know what they think about this one going into it. I don't know what they thought about during it. I don't know, what they think about after it. It's been pretty quiet. I think people have, respected my phone and not blown me up with their opinions on the game. So I guess thank you. But, you can reach out to me. It's cool. But anyways, it was a battle. It was a 1 goal game, obviously. At half it was 3-2. And feeling great about the game, back and forth. Obviously, two good defenses, couple of good goalies. Um, we situation for Jefferson. Everyone knows, they got a Fogo who's a problem, and I think he's 89. He's a 90ish% on the year. Fogo. So you got to put a game plan together. You gotta account for that situation of the game, so you can continue to get the ball back, right? And first half we did that. 1 goal game at half. Feeling good about it. Third quarter, really second half of the third quarter, a few things got away from us. A couple bad bounces. Jefferson found some momentum. Kudos to them. I think they took a 6-2 lead, if I'm not mistaken, at that point. Going into the fourth, and our offense, their offense got going. Our offense, didn't. And then the fourth quarter, things kind of flipped. We found some momentum. They got one at some point during our run. And then we got within one, 6-7, ball in hand, at the end of the game with a minute left. Obviously we'd write up a better situation at the end of the game, minute left with ball in hand, but we had a chance, right? We had the opportunity to, force an overtime, and, didn't, weren't able to. So, unfortunate, obviously sucks, no matter how you look at it. But proud of the guys. Proud of the guys. They battled till the end. Like some of these other teams we talked about, like EP being, down 6, we were down 4, and we could have folded the tent in and, said, oh, our offense isn't going right now. Let's just book some trips to Cabo and call it a year. But they didn't do that. They continued to battle, found a way to win some draws, especially in the fourth, and got some ride backs and did the things we needed to until the end to try to force an overtime or try to tie things up. So we're right there. Disappointing, but proud of the guys, proud of the effort. See the senior group. A lot of the 2026s, especially from the PL group, they've done the things. They put in the time. They've done the unrequired. Poured a lot into into the program. So I'm proud of them for that, and a lot of good kids in this class. You can't say that about every class. Like, these are a lot of good kids, like nice kids, like good guys, good dudes who are going to go and do like good things. So, really happy for the 2026s and, how they've set themselves up for kind of post high school now. Now, a lot of them are walking, just walked earlier tonight. So, yeah,
Yep.
on to 2027 for the Lakers.
Yeah, and just like kind of like some of the other teams we talked about, it does seem like there's a young core at Prior Lake, just objectively looking at the roster of guys who contributed. So it could set up some success, or some build from there for the Lakers. But nonetheless, that sets up number 4 Edina versus number 2 Jefferson, and the Edina found a way, 5-3 win, low scoring game. I think everybody expected that. The big man talked about that.
I think it was 4-0 at half.
I believe you're right. I believe it was 4-0 Edina, and Jefferson kind of found a way to start chipping away and just kind of ran out of time at the end. I think maybe it was the big man or somebody maybe said 4-goal lead for Edina with their defense, especially if it's a team that's trying to play a lot of 6-on-6, might as well be a 10-goal lead. Especially when they're healthy, they got some really good cover pulls, some good athletes, a good goalies. So. Um, I don't know. Some people say defense wins championships, so I think they're proving that right now. That they're holding teams, to low scores and frustrating teams, and it'll be interesting to see what that looks like at the state tournament. Obviously our friends of the pod are coaching there, and they've been on the pod and talked about their teams. So. Yeah, but tell proven otherwise, they're still the defending state champs and they get to run it back. So that's kind of cool for them.
On to section 7. A little chalky. One upset to note: Duluth. A team that we were high on in the preseason, especially kind of for this section, and maybe maybe underperformed a little bit to what we maybe thought, but come out, upset Chisago Lakes with a Big 10-9 lead. But at the end of the day, this section is running through Blaine right now. Coach Beach and the boys, another group of friends of the pod, good dudes up there, and kind of dominated this section, especially in the final. Like Farmington, did not leave a doubt whose section 7 is this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Champlin Park and Anoka played a pretty tight game in the semis, 12-10. Um, Duluth Marshall won their playing game 7-6. So shout out to that program. I think they were brand new 2 years ago. So they got into the quarters. But yeah, I agree. Very chalky section. Blaine comes out on top tonight, actually, as we record. I think the game just finished 8-2. They won, and will be going back to the state tournament again this year in 2026.
Sorry for the delay. On
No,
to section 8. Are they playing right now? Are they playing right now? They played at noon?
they played at noon.
They played at
Uh,
noon. I
no,
think STMA came out on top, right?
yeah. Yeah, so section 8, talk about a section that has been dominated by one team, the Moorhead Spuds, over the year. They actually on the second, so Tuesday night, St. Michael Albertville, just like we talked about with Wyzetta beating BSM, STMA finally got the monkey off their back and beat Moorhead. They beat them earlier in the regular season, so they didn't have to go to Moorhead. They got the home playoff game, and maybe that was the difference. There was a lot of shout outs for a defensive player on that team, Tyler Bechtold. Said he was just a difference maker all over the field in that game, and probably was in the section final. But I think a little, I guess you could say chalky in the sense it was 1, 2, 3, 4 in the semis. However, the Storm and Sabres had to win a quarterfinal 4-5 game in overtime, 11-10.
A lot of 4-5s got weird,
Yeah.
got crazy.
Yeah, so shout out to all the coaches. Seating is probably pretty correct on these sections. These 4-5 games have been competitive. Outside of that, there was a lot of kind of lopsided victories, but today at noon, the St. Michael Albertville Knights win Section 8 over Elk River Zimmerman. Shout out to those guys. Had a fantastic season. Just ran out of gas here in the section final, but I think had the 1 seed. They like definitely proved me wrong or us wrong. And shout out to that team for the season that they had. They like completely turned it around. And it was a 9-4 win for St. Michael Albertville. So again, big shout out to STMA. They've been knocking on the door since we started this podcast. Yeah. I feel like every year it's like, no, this is the year they're going to break through. They've had overtime losses in the section final. They've had 1-goal losses. It feels like every year they're just so close, and they finally broke through. So congrats to them.
they've been our Hill Murray of the of the source. They've been right there. We've been trying to pump them. I gave up on them I think a year or two ago. I'm like I'm done with STMA. So maybe me giving up on them, maybe that's exactly what they needed. And the source giving up on Hill Murray, maybe that's exactly what they need. They'll be there, maybe next year.
There's your 2027 preview.
Yeah. Um, any, I guess, predictions on, I don't know if we want to do like state seeding predictions.
I got my seeds. I've been
Okay.
I've been
I got
making a
mine.
list. You got yours. Okay, Ted, you can go last. So pay attention to us. Take notes. I'll go first. Um, I I put a couple of question marks as I was kind of going through, and I'm leaving them. I'm leaving them right where I put them. No questions marks needed. There's going to be no movement. My gut is what I'm going with first time here. My guess or my prediction or my projection, number one seed Farmington. I don't think that's too crazy of a call. My number two is Stillwater. Again, I don't think that's too crazy of a call. Number three, Eastridge. Number four, Wyzetta. Number five, Tonka. Number six, Edina. Seven, Blaine. Eight, STMA.
Wow. I am either a great lacrosse mind or we're equally stupid. I had very, very, very similar top eight for the boys side. Uh, Tigers of Farmington one, Stillwater two, Eastridge three. I flipped Tonka and Wyzetta. I had Tonka four, Wyzetta five. Edina, I struggled where to place them. Uh, but I ended up slotting them at six, Blaine seven, and STMA as the eight seed for me.
Um, I'll say this. Farmington, Stillwater, 1 and 2. I don't know how they're going to decide that. Both teams are undefeated, so let Mitch and the Stillwater coaches battle that out. I think Eastridge is locked in at the 3. Um, the Wayzata Tonka Edina log jam, I think, is very interesting because
Wyzetta beat Tonka.
and Edina. So I think Wayzata's got to be the 4.
I
Uh,
agree. That's
uh,
why I had them at four.
then Tonka beat Edina, so they got to be the 5, Edina the 6. So that's there, and then STMA I have at 7, Blaine I have at 8.
I could live with it.
You could flip those two. I think both teams have some interesting losses, but also quality wins. So I think
I like Beach. That's why I gave them 7.
fair enough. So yeah, I think I think it will be interesting to see kind of how it all shakes out. I think there's a lot of head to head this year, but then there's like some weird wins and losses in there too for teams. So I don't know how much you value certain. Kind of just depends how certain stuff is weighted and like how many scores and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, should be an interesting tournament. I think there's a lot of good teams this year.
I agree. I agree. Well, without further ado, let's keep this thing moving over to the girls, and we can start at the top, section 1. A section that was maybe potentially going to run through Farmington based on seeds, but I felt like I was smelling that one out. Source, what happened in section 1?
Pretty chalky through section 1. Quarters went chalk, ended up with Farmington as on the left side of the bracket against Lakeville North in the semis. Farmington took care of business there to get to the finals. Pretty chalk. Not a lot of close games in the quarters in the right-hand side. South versus Owatonna in the semis. South took care of business, which set up rematch. South Suburban section 1, everything else rematch. Farmington at home this time against South. I watched part of this game on stream, and Farmington jumped out. And Ted, you saw this in person or part of this, so you can jump in if I'm wrong here. Farmington jumped out, I think, to a 2 or 3 nothing lead, and then Lakeville South put the brakes on and clamped them down, and they were kind of winning by 5 goals. They went on a burst, and Mackenzie Stromer, shout out to her, she had 6 goals. in the game, went on a burst to get up by 5 and kind of sat up by 5 for most of the second half, kind of until the last, I don't know, half or 2/3 of the fourth quarter. And then Farmington started pouring the coals on the fire a little bit and tightened it up. But South prevailed with a 2-goal win over the Lady Tigers of Farmington, 12-10. Ted, you were there. Any thoughts or feedback or perspective that you saw?
Yeah, when I got to the school, it was I think 9-5 Lakeville South or 9-4. Like you said, it was kind of stuck there for a while, and then Farmington kind of caught some momentum, and I think just it was too little, too late, and South felt really comfortable. In my mind, felt comfortable with that lead at the end of the game, kind of controlling the ball, no panic. Definitely a team that you could tell has been in that situation before and knew how to close it out. But yeah, shout out to Farmington for uh, making it interesting at the end. Again, we've kind of made that the theme of this podcast of many opportunities to kind of say, all right, it's over. We're going to fold the tent. And they didn't do that. So, shout out to them. But Lakeville South, again, proving, the strength of their program, the culture of their program, finding a way to win, even when it's not perfect in the regular season, they're tough out in the playoffs.
On to section two, mostly chalky section, except for, of course, the 4-5 game. And then that ended up leading to an electric all-time one for the books section final. Source, what do you have on this Delano squad that, quote unquote, being the fifth seed, upset Chanhassen? And give us a breakdown of the section final. I was next morning, pre 8 a.m. I was getting guys coming over, some Orono Lax dads, talking about this one. So, what do we have on section two?
Well, I'm excited to hear what the Laxdad had to say. But first of all, it's your Delano squad. You had them as the 4th seed, I believe, in the preseason. So shout out to Delano for knocking off Chanhassen in the 4-5 game. But yeah, I mean, the story of this one is the not Lake Minnetonka, the Minnetonka Skippers against the Orono, whatever the heck they are. These are the quotes that I had from some of my sources. Game of the year, state championship game, instant classic, best women's lacrosse game I've ever seen in person. You can weigh in with what the Orono Laxdad said. This was back and forth. Orono was up, I believe, 6-2 after one. Kind of, the Orono show. They had their three-headed monster, Riley Teal, Dylan Collins, and Layla Nick. They're doing all their things. Everything was buzzing. I had a source there in person, a couple of them actually, and my phone was getting basically minute by minute updates for the whole game. And so it was a little hard to keep track. But then Minnetonka came roaring back in the second quarter, quizzing me, what do you think the score is? Nope, you're wrong. Here it is. Tight game. And then it was like a 2-goal flip for the whole second half. Orono would be up by 2. Tonka would battle back. Tonka would be up by 2. Then Orono would be battle back. They'd be up by 2. And kind of flipped all the way until they got to the end of the game. Which then they didn't score in the first overtime at all. And eventually the Skippers knocked off Orono in double overtime, 15-14. Minnetonka, number one in the DTA poll, probably the most important poll in the state for most of the year, certainly at the end of the year. And shout out to Minnetonka for winning Section 2 again.
Yeah, a couple things. It looks just like a fantastic game in just score line and obviously 2 overtimes. Now, I have a question. Is girls lacrosse sudden victory overtime?
Yes.
Okay. Was there a time when it was not?
Not that I'm aware, but
Okay.
who knows? I'm probably the wrong one to ask about that.
I thought there was, it may have been like when Peyton was playing at some point. I remember watching a game. I was at Edina and I thought they like played in overtime and they just played the whole overtime out and like you could score and score again and like whatever. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but nonetheless, sudden death overtime, sudden victory overtime probably could have been as your sources said, a state championship game. It's a shame both teams couldn't go, but that's the nature of how things are set up in our state. Congrats to the Skippers for getting back to the state tournament. And yeah, sounds like a barn burner.
Yeah, I
What's
don't.
Lackstad report?
Lackstad report, not a ton to add. Obviously you've got the big studs of Orno getting the people going early, getting that big lead to start. Tonka marching back. I think it was kind of studs versus maybe some depth. Where the studs getting tired was the depth of Tonka wearing them down. Sounds like Tonka has some waves. Maybe they run a little bit of O MIDI, D MIDI. I'm not 100% sure. There might have been some murmurs of that. One shout out from an Orno Lackstad was number 12 on Tonka. Sydney Grant, I think she had one of the tough matchups. Maybe you can't erase one of the big three, but I think she did her best on slowing them down. It sounds like she did a really good job of that, according to a Lackstad, eye. So, shout out to her. I no clue who she is. I don't know if she's on the source's radar or not, but got some praise for her work in this Orno game. Yeah, electric finish. I think Orno. It sounded like their kind of youth girls lacrosse program kind of showed out and tried to do their part to get the gals going from the stands. And it sounds like there's a lot of buy-in at the youth level. I think from both the girls and the boys. From kind of what I'm hearing from some Lackstads in various corners and offices of the world. So, shout out to Orno, shout out to both of these teams, and sounds like an electric game. And, for everyone in there, they're never going to forget it. On to section 3. Dividends were not paid, but this was a pretty chalky, finish here. CDH, a team that has been on the radar, has been making some noise, has some studs. The question was, can Park do what Park does and slow him down? What do we have in section 3?
Yeah, this is the chalkiest of the chalk section. Yeah, 1 versus 4. CDH took care of the hedge fund 18-0 on Monday. Park doing Park things against Eastridge, 7-5 game, not quite the most Park score ever, but awfully close to the most Park score ever. Doing Park things. Park is a good program. Park knows what they're doing. They're well coached. They're well disciplined. They do their thing. Leading to CDH versus Park in the finals. CDH guys, if there's ever been a one-loss team that has been under the radar, like it feels like it's this team. This has been pretty quiet. We've talked about them a little bit. I've been starting to sound the horn a little bit. I'm sounding the horn. Like CDH is, pay attention next week to CDH. They put up double digits in Park. Not a lot of teams did that over the year, and they come out with the win, 11-4 over Park at Cottage Grove.
On to section 4. Another pretty chalky section, except for the 3 and 6. Gentry over Hill Murray. I felt like this was another one we kind of smelled out and chatted about and said, hey, like, Gentry's got some studs. I know they're a 6, but this could be a scary 6, and this is Hill Murray. This is the source's kryptonite. What was going on there?
Hail Mary, shout out to them. They are the source's kryptonite. Yeah, you're talking about Sam Hone from Gentry Academy. She was the stud of the section when we did our section previews, going to Clemson. I'm sure she'll be first team everything once all that stuff gets sorted out. An All-American. Those haven't been announced yet. Some of them are trickling out, but yeah, shout out to her. When you're the stud of the section, you always have a chance. I think you said that. And I had some East Side sources that were had their eyes on this game, were nervous for Hill on this game. There is some intra-club team going on there that they play on the same club, so they all know each other, and I'm sure that made it competitive also. But yeah, Gentry kind of took care of business and reportedly took care of business in the draw, especially and really kind of dominated Hill. It was 15-9, and I don't know it was that close. I think Hill made some adjustments late in the game on the draw to kind of start turning it around, but it was way too little, way too late. So yeah, Gentry as a 6 seed advances to White Bear Lake, played them tough. A 2-goal win for White Bear Lake. White Bear Lake's been chipping away and kind of making a little bit of waves, but Gentry gave them everything they could handle. So shout out to Gentry Academy on that. So White Bear advances on the right hand side of the bracket to the championship. And then you have Stillwater versus Roseville. 10-5 game. Roseville scrappy. We got some coaches who have daughters on the Stillwater team over there. So I'm sure that was an exciting semifinal matchup for them. But then talk about park scores.
Yeah.
Stillwater against White Bear Lake. Defensive battle, 6-4 Stillwater. One of the big defensive studs we talked about last year, we talked about this year, Merritt Wolden. Shout out to DTA Defensive Player of the Year if you want to put in their name for that. Yeah, 6-4. Stillwater has a tremendous goalie, but White Bear Lake held them equally as quiet scoring wise. I checked the box score this morning, nothing was posted. Haven't had a chance to get there. Shout out to the neighborhood party. But yeah, 6-4, close game. Shout out to White Bear Lake for having a great season and battling in Section 4 the whole time, but the ponies get the job done and heading back to the state tournament.
Any sources saying anything on how White Bear Lake held Stillwater to 6?
I have not heard any sources about this game. I didn't have eyes on this game. I haven't talked to anyone at this game.
Okay.
So I am in the dark on how this happened. I don't know if it was streamed or not. It might have been on NSPN. Stillwater's a little squirrely in their streaming situation, but I think NSPN might have had this. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. Shout out to the Section 6 game we'll talk about in a second.
On to Section 5, another one very, very chalky. Nothing kind of standing out as a surprise or really curveballs, at least to me. Sources, as you look, maybe closer to this, anything pop out to you?
No, I think what popped out to me in this section, all sections, up until the end, all the girls games were, for as crazy as the girls regular season was, the section brackets were pretty chalky.
Yeah.
And so it was, I was expecting way more fireworks, and that's all right. We had a couple little ones at the end, but yeah, it all went pretty chalk. No, no, no surprises here. Wayzata over Benilde, 12-6. I got, some Wayzata sources are feeling very good about themselves coming out of that game and going into the championship. Maple Grove, we talked about them a ton, and the meat grinder of a schedule they had, and a meat grinder of a season they had. They got the job done against Champlin Park. Champlin Park has a couple of great offensive players. They have a well-coached team. We've had them the coaches on the pod a couple times, but they really took care of business against Champlin Park, 17-5, to set up a 1 versus 2, Wayzata versus Maple Grove, and Wayzata really did a fine job, 11-5 over the Crimson of Maple Grove.
On to Section 6. Speaking of chalk, this one's pretty chalky. 1 through 4 in the semis. Edina taking care of business over Shakopee. Shakopee, shout out to you guys having a great season. Making a run. And making some noise. Big game hunters. I think source called them all season long. Prior Lake over Rosemount, taking care of business. If you have anything to add, source on those, feel free until we get to the final. Edina, Prior Lake.
Yeah, not much to add. Edina Prior Lake. Edina beat Prior Lake by a goal earlier in the season. That was Prior Lake's first loss of the year. And they came out ahead by 1 goal here in this game against Prior Lake. You and I were there. We were with dads and athletic directors and coaches and
the people.
the people. Everyone was there. From the Prior Lake land. Edina side of the stadium was also well attended naturally. Edina did a really nice job of just slowing down Prior Lake and muddying up things on the defensive side. They were sliding to Prior Lake's mids and attackers really well, kind of sliding a double over to whoever had the ball on the top
All night
really
long.
well all night long,
All night long. They made it
knocking
so
passes
hard.
down. So many knockdown passes.
Crazy amount.
Shout out to their defense.
Maybe a record.
Might have been a record. It seemed like a record. So shout out to Kelly Crampton. Shout out to their defense. Shout out to their goalie. Uh, they did a fine job, and the score was close, and the game wasn't as close as the score indicates. Prior Lake made a run at the end, tied the game up 10-10 with 40 seconds left. The people were buzzing. The people were emotional, and Edina won the draw. Catherine Ewers won the draw, kind of marched down. I think she scored. It was either her or Siri. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it was that scored the 11th goal. Kind of marched right down from the draw. I think it was 23 seconds left in the game, and they won the last draw, and that was kind of all she wrote. Prior Lake made a game of it, but really Edina controlled the tempo the entire time, and we have Edina, the lax town, lax city, lax suburb of Minnesota. They only have 210 state championships, so hopefully they can pull another one out here on one of the sides here.
Speaking of Ewers, I don't have a final box score stats on Lax Hub, so I'm sorry about that. But I know for a fact she had 6 in the first half, 6 goals in the first half.
Not a big deal.
As well as a bunch of draw controls, I believe the women call them.
Yep.
So she, killed it, especially in the first half. And then if she added a couple more in the second half, which I'm sure she did because she was all over the field all night long. Not sure what her final stat line is, but shout out to her. She's a major problem. Goalie, as you said, was very good, especially between the pipes. You know, making some saves, getting chunks of balls. Defense sticks in
getting
lanes.
Way out of net. She was walking the ball up to the 35, 40-yard line a couple times. And like athlete, I'm virtually certain she's a hockey player. Libby Moe is her name. She had no fear and she had a great game. I'm guessing Ewers ended up with 7. I think Siri Austin had 3 and one other goal. I think one other person had 1 goal. If I wasn't keeping stats, but that's just what I had in my head. So shout out to her. Great game.
And this zone defense, I assume it's a zone defense that they're kind of running with these doubles that they're finding and creating. Whoever gets matched up against Edina, you got to watch the film. You got to watch that defense, and you got to have a game plan for it, because if you don't, your offense is going to suffocate.
Yep. And yeah, they're well coached, sticks in the air, knock down everything. So shout out to the Hornets. Enough of that. Let's move to section 7.
Before we do,
thanks, Ted.
Just something that I'm noticing here. On the boys' side, 4 Lake Conference teams out of 8 state tournament teams. On the girls' side, we haven't quite gotten to section 8 yet, but 4 Lake Conference teams out of the 8 state teams. So Lake Conference having a great run so far, but also a lot of double boys, girls going to state here. We got Tonka. We got Stillwater. We got Wayzata. We got Edina. So 4 of the sections have boys and girls.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah. So I don't know. Interesting. I don't know if that's normally how it is or if that's pretty unique to have 4 on each side. But anyway, I digress. Section 7.
Shout out to Lake Conference and their janky streaming network for just punching the South Suburban Conference right in the face. I mean, shout out to them.
Well, they're making that extra money. I'm sure it's getting redistributed to the lacrosse
transfer portal. Yep.
So
absolutely.
Shout out. Section 7, another pretty chalky-ish section, but in the section final we got a 1-3 Chisago Lakes versus Centennial. 1-goal bangers, kind of scattered throughout this bracket. What do we have in section 7?
I want to shout out Centennial. We talked about Blaine. Blaine was having a good year. Sago Lakes being the only undefeated team left in the state. Shout out to Centennial for getting the upside over Blaine in the semifinals by a goal. But then, pushing literally the only undefeated team left in the girls' side to a one-goal game. Shout out to Centennial. We hear a lot of noise on the boys' side and a lot of excitement there. Shout out to the girls for kind of showing up and making the section final, but really giving Sago everything they all wanted in the section seven. This game was tonight. I no eyes on this game. I don't have any sources at this game. So apologies to the ladies there for that, but shout out to Chisago Lakes for winning Section 7 and making the state tournament yet again.
Looking at the box score quick,
What's on here?
Centennial was up 3-1 after the first quarter, but down 8-4 going into the fourth. A 6-goal fourth quarter to Chisago Lakes 2 to tie it heading into overtime. We had an OT winner,
Ooh,
Chisago Lakes 11-10. According to the box score, no stats, player stats, but that is the score line. So Centennial had a great start. Chisago kind of dominated the middle of the game, and then Centennial battled back, and Chisago iced it in overtime.
fun game.
Yeah.
And on to section 8. This one is probably just wrapped up an hour or so ago.
Looks like Buffalo
Buffalo won big.
big 21 to I think
7.
21-7. So Buffalo, that one is final now as of this recording.
So yeah, pretty chalky, except for Elk River. Elk River, this has been has this been their section?
Yeah, Section 8's been Elk River section. A little bit of Hill Murray vibes for me with Buffalo. I kind of thought they would be winning the Section 8 in the last couple of years. Elk River and Zimmerman have been able to pull the section out. They were the number 2 seed this year, but unfortunately they met a little bit more than they could handle in Piper Peterson and STMA in the semifinals. STMA shout out to them for making it past Elk River and making the section finals as a 3 seed. But Buffalo, they kind of ran through this section. They own this section, and they really stamped their name on it and put this without any doubt of who is the Section 8 champs. And shout out to the Buffalo Bison Boulevard for making state, home of the greatest senior sunset you could possibly find, making the state tournament.
And as we go to the next chapter of this podcast and picking or guessing, I would say the seeds of the girls. The boys, maybe it's because I'm a boys coach, quote unquote, maybe a source, paying more attention on that side. I feel like I pay a decent amount of attention, being married to a pretty involved coach on the girls' side. So I feel like, and through this podcast, I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp. But as I go through this, I've got question marks, and on the boys' side, I'm like, oh, boom, okay, we're good. I even though there's question marks, I feel good about where those teams landed. I think I'm only confident about one of my spots here, and that's the 8th seed. Maybe it'd be more obvious if I if I had more time to think about it and actually look at the stats and matchups and whatever. But you know how we roll. We fire up the mics, we fire up the pod, we start talking, and we see where things go. So really what I'm doing is trying to buy some time for me to think, and hopefully the source has some decent ideas so I can kind of, maybe get a couple of waves on a couple of these teams and where I should maybe seed them.
Let me
you go first, Ted.
Can I throw out, just because I'm with PMAC, I'm not maybe as deep into all the little scores and head-to-heads and that kind of thing as the source. So I'm gonna throw out I was writing these down as we were going through.
So Ted, you're going first.
I'll go first.
I love that.
Tell me if this is terrible. I'm gonna go Minnetonka 1. I'm going to go Stillwater 2. I'm going to go Cretan 3. I'm going to go Buffalo 4. Edina 5. Wayzata 6. South 7, which is
It just
Weird to
feels
say.
crazy. It doesn't
And,
it just feel
and
crazy?
Chisago Lake's 8. However, the 2, 3, 4, and 5, even maybe the 6, get a little dicey. 2, 3, 4, 5 for me were I had to move some things around, but I looked at head to heads a little bit while we were.
Buffalo was a 1 in the state at one point this year.
I
On
know, but
lax numbers. On lax numbers, they
they
were a
have,
1.
yep, they have two losses.
So
Um,
they and
they
they
lost
could Oh my
Was that
God.
was that also beat Edina 8-4 earlier in the season?
Okay, so there you go.
So is he Dinah a 7? I don't know. Like I literally don't know. Or is he Dinah like a 3?
So in one of my many source chats with two people, this is a multi-person thread. Two people way more knowledgeable than me about the women's and girls lacrosse game. They had no idea on how to seed the state tournament. They were guessing and they had question marks and they was like something like this, I don't know. So I have my 8 unless you're ready to go, PMAC. I have my 8.
Honestly, Ted really didn't help my list. I have question marks around the same teams, and I still
Yeah.
like. It's south of 7. I'm not sure. I don't have them at 7, but okay. Source, go ahead. You go
All right.
first.
Minnetonka won 15-1. That to me, that's the most solid of the picks. You can make arguments for it, but Tonka gets the one. I got CDH 2. They're 15-1.
Okay.
And Ted and I had the same top 4 and bottom 4. I originally wrote Buffalo 3 and Stillwater 4, but I switched that around. I got Stillwater, they're 15-1. They deserve that 3 seed. Maybe deserve the 2 seed, maybe deserve the 1 seed. But I'm going to put them at 3 and then put Buffalo at 4, 14-2. I got Wayzata 5 over Edina 6, which feels totally disrespectful to Edina. But I have them as the 6th seed. Both teams are 13-3. With that same record, I gave the head-to-head matchup to Wayzata, which then leaves Chisago and South. My sources in that thread had Chisago Lake 7 and Lakeville South 8,
Really?
which seems totally bonkers. But you know what? I'm going to roll with them. They're more knowledgeable than I am. They're 16-0. Their coach supports the program. Not that Joel does not, because Joel certainly does. I'm going to put Chisago Lakes at 7. And for the most bonkers thing you could ever have said, Darth Vader, the Imperial Army, whatever, the Russians, Lakeville South, the 8th seed, probably going to win the state tournament now. Can't wait.
So, but and Stillwater beat Cretan, right?
Yeah, it was a close, I think, a 1-goal game.
Yeah, it was a 1-goal game. So a lot of these teams beat each other. It almost seems like head to head does you no good. Do you have to maybe just look at quality wins? Because that's where, Edina, beating Prior Lake twice, who was the number 1 team for most of the year. PMAC,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead, PMAC.
See what you can come up with.
I don't even know. Like I listened to both of you and I scribbled some numbers down. So I don't know if this I don't know. Yeah. So Tonka 1, I had that. So Stilly 2. I think you guys are split on that. So I'll go Stilly 2, CDH 3. I had no clue where to put Buffalo, but you kind of talked Buffalo up to me. I kind of had, so I'll throw Buffalo at 4.
And you're a Buffalo guy, so
And I'm a Buffalo guy, so like, yeah, twist my arm on that. I'm totally cool with that.
You love senior sunsets. They gotta be 4.
Yeah. So Wayzata beat Edina.
Yes, 8-4.
Fine. So Wayzata 5, Edina 6. Oh, who did South beat? South had to have beat one of these teams.
Let's see here. I'll tell you. South, their wins were against Owatonna, Apple Valley, Chanhassen, East Egan, Benilde, Rosemount. They lost to Farmington. They lost to Stillwater by 8. They lost to Prior Lake by 2. They lost to Buffalo by 5. They lost to Shakopee by 1, and they lost to Minnetonka by 6.
Okay.
They haven't had really any quality wins. Rosemount's probably their best win.
All right. Yeah. Throw them at 7 and Chisago at 8, I guess.
There you have it.
I don't feel great about it, but submit it.
It feels so disrespectful to Edina to have him at 6, but I don't know where else to put him. I mean, it would be disrespectful to the other teams if you put him higher, I guess. So there you go.
And this might be sort of a jinx here, but like, could this be one of the most competitive state tournaments, at least on the girls' side? I think the boys will be too, but on the girls' side, with all these head-to-heads and like teams beating each other, I mean, I think this could be one of the most competitive state tournaments. Like, all the games could be close.
So I don't disagree with you. I'm not calling anyone fake news here, but I'm very intrigued about this 3 and 4 CDH and Buffalo. Like where they like are they going to be able to bring it on the big stage? Like I really think Edina can. Would not be surprised if South can as a 7. Um, and then obviously Tonka Stilly, like their wagons. So like you've got like some like wagons in my opinion. You've got some teams that have experience and have been there and done it. And then it's like CDH Buffalo. Like, is the stage going to be too bright for them? Or are they going to come in, punch some people in the face, and make some noise?
And then a team we haven't said anything about in any of this recap. Why is that just
Yeah.
fine? Whatever. They're 5 and they're 13-3 with a bunch of quality wins, starting to peak at the right time, and they're kind of primed to like knock off that 4 seed.
Hey, they hook me
And
up with the Bentley. I'll start pumping them too. But
yeah,
until then,
absolutely,
I'm not.
100%.
I got nothing on Wayzata.
Yeah,
Carve out a little bit of that referendum for you
Yeah.
and get a Bentley or being
Yeah,
there.
we can. Hey, you guys build us a podcast studio in the Wayzata School District. Zip code. Hey, you'll get some more. Tires pumped from me. I'll pump your Bentley's tires for you.
stay tourney time.
Fun time. Good luck, Ted.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Huge Farmington Tiger podcast.
Yeah, it should be a fun week across the board. A lot of good teams, a lot of teams that kind of punched their ticket for the first time or the first time in a while. So that's cool. Bummer it's not at TCO, but we'll make do. Hopefully the fans can come out in the middle of a work day to watch some lacrosse and yeah, go Tigers, I guess.
Go
Go
Tigers.
See you, boys.
So yeah, it was a fun one. That's all I got. Oh, Billy Kaler, the stick doctor, he's gonna start doing a little bit of stick content. I don't know. Sauce him a follow. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like we always get questions on equipment and how to string sticks and this and that. It's like, okay, let's do some content. Let's do some content around it. He's always stringing sticks for me and our players. So I don't know. I'm giving him some homework. We'll see where the content takes us. But we're gonna try to get some equipment and stick stringing content out there for you. So check him out. He's on Instagram.
There you go. Till next time, boys. I don't know when we're recording again, but catch you on the flip.
See ya.
Adios.